YouTube, welcome to the garden. And it seems that a lot of people have discovered how to use these cattle panels to make an arch trellis. Let me get a little better angle here for you, and you can see it right there. Anyways, I thought I would show you how I put this thing together. So stay tuned. This is Gordon Reeder. You're watching my channel where we do a lot of do-it-yourself projects and especially gardening. I set this one up last year and I put it right here against the fence. Turns out it was, well, first off, it turned out it worked really good. I had sweet peas growing up one side, I had pole beans going up the other, but the only problem is right here in the middle. I end up giving up a lot of room here that I could have been growing lettuce or tomatoes or something in there, and instead I couldn't because it's under the trellis. Now most people put these things over walkways, and so that's what I'm going to do. I've got these new garden boxes here, these new raised garden boxes, and here is a walkway. And just as I started to put in the T-posts to move the trellis, I realized you guys might like to see what's going on. So what you're going to need are some T-posts. If you're going to do the job correctly, you notice that I just kind of jerry-rigged that one, and it stayed up. So you need some T-posts. 5-foot T-posts are okay. You need some, probably some baling wire. Fence wire might be a little better, being heavier. A nice pair of pliers to manipulate the wire, and a sledgehammer to pound the T-posts into the ground. Let's see how we're going to do this. So first we're going to grab one of these T-posts. They're heavy. And you're going to come over to here. You're going to use the T-post kind of as a measurement. Right, so there's one end, right about where we want the T-post, and the other T-post we want to support it is going to be right about here, right where the flukes begin. And so we can come over here. I'm going to drop that one right into the ground. Wham! But I'm going to take the other T-post and there's where it begins, and so that's where that T-post goes right there, and then the other T-post goes right here. So the next thing we need, somewhere around here it is, I have a story pole. If you saw my video on how I lay out my lettuce, you'll recognize this story pole. And there's the 12 inches. Get it in there. There's 12 inches. And we've got this T-post almost exactly where it needs to be. And then we want to come over here, bring our story pole. Turns out that the place we want to put the next T-post just lines right up with that, so we put our story pole right across the garden bed like that, and we're going to pick up the T-post. There we go. And we're going to lay it right next to that 12-inch mark right there, and maybe a little bit of foot action on it. There it goes. Okay. Just got to get it started. It's like starting a nail. Then let's get the story pole out of here, because that's just something to trip on. And then we want, alright, this isn't going to be the best hammer technique. Notice I put the bumps pointing inward toward the trellis. Now, this is not the best hammer technique, but because I'm trying to hold the, well, hold on a second, guys. Hands to get that pole started. But here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Just tap it in, and you got to tap it in until these flukes are buried. So I would be right back, because I'm going to need 2 hands to finish the job. All right, that one's just a little bit tipped because I was using one hand to get it started, and so it went in crooked. But I'm going to leave it be, because I think what's going to happen is when I put the cattle panel on it, it's going to try to push it back. That'll be okay. So, next thing, just got to go collect our cattle panel. This is going to be interesting. Right, we got it there with a minimal amount of fuss, but it was a little trying, but yeah, it got there. And you see the T-posts are exactly where I expected them to land, right there. And it's just laying here loose right now, but remember, the garden beds are not full yet, so I can't leave it sitting all the way down there. I have to bring it up, and then even at that, I don't want the panel to be right here at ground level. The plants will sprout up just fine about 4 to 5 inches before they start reaching for a trellis. So I can put this several inches up off of the final soil level, probably right here. And the advantage to that is that I can put my gardening tools under the trellis, and the trellis isn't going to be in the way. And so we've got to lift this end up. Let me see if I can do it and let you watch. Up. A little bit more there. Okay, I'm going to need 2 hands to tie this down, so I'll get back to you in a minute. We're wired in, and you can see we're above. We're about, I think I'm about 4 inches at this point above, and I haven't tied down the bottom here yet. All right, so here we are. We're getting it all tied off. I want to show you when I initially tied it off, I did this. I just went round and round and round she goes, right? Probably not the best way to do this. The better way is what I did down here. What I started by doing was going around the cross wire, going around, going back and forth across the back of the T-post, then ending right here, going around and round again. It's much easier. It's much easier to do, and I think it's much stronger. And so we've got the cattle panel. I'm going to step back so I can just point. Started by tying right here near the top, then the bottom. Well, top. Once I had that tied off, bottom. This one I have yet to do, and I did the same thing here. Top, bottom. This side's all tied up, and if we drop low, we can again see that the bottom of the trellis panel is above the final dirt line. So that opens up this area here. Yeah, you can see I've got a lot more space here for planting. If you ever wonder what happened if you don't get to your broccoli soon enough, this is what happens. Now that I have all this space available that I didn't have before, I think I've got, let's see, that board here, this should be an 8-foot length of dimensional lumber. So from that stick right there, all the way over to here is 8 feet. So I've got an area here, if I leave a 2-foot path here to get to the garlic, then I've got about 6 feet by, I don't know, but I've got all this space here and here now that I can use. Now that that panel is gone, what I have done though is I've put the panel 12 inches back, and if I plant my green beans or my other item, green beans, cucumber, sweet peas in this area here, I've still got some space here So I may be able to put some lettuce. I may be able to put a line of lettuce in right here. And then if we give ourselves a little space, we'll have room here also for growing something. And this whole front part of the box here, this 4 foot by 4 foot section, mirrored over here, is available for growing. We've opened up quite a bit of space for growing by moving this panel over to this location here. Alright, so there's the final result. In a couple of months we hope to see a lot of lush green beans and cucumbers growing up that thing. Hit that like button if this is something you enjoyed watching. Hit the notification bell and subscribe if you want to see the final result in July when we get all the lush foliage growing on it. Thanks for watching and happy gardening.